Yeah, hi, it's the 11th of September 2018 at 12:30 p.m. I'd, in this video, I'd like to discuss how men have changed and how we've adapted to our changed circumstances. I used to think of it in terms of an evolutionary step, that we're evolving in some way, but I don't think so. I think I was wrong there. I think it's more an adaptation. We're having to adapt to our changed circumstances. Women, although, and I think I discussed this in the last video, that they have changed over years. I'm sure they have, over a period of 50 years, but not to the same extent that men have. I mean, to illustrate, 10 years ago, a woman of 10 years ago is not that different to a woman of today. She could do no more or no less back then in 2008 than she could do in 2018. In Saudi Arabia or countries like that, the situation might be different, but in the West, women are essentially the same. Yeah, they might have more power in the family court, they might have more powers like that, but just the woman on the street is much the same she was 10 years ago. The guy on the street, the average, ordinary, everyday guy, is a different cup of tea altogether. He's changed a lot since 2008. His whole world has changed. But by and large, I'd say that's a fair comment. I'd say the wave of feminism has just it's changed everything about the guy. I know from my own experience, my thoughts, what I know today, what I experience today, what I think today, totally different to 2008. Totally different. I mean, it's so much has happened. And what has actually happened is the manosphere has been fragmented by feminism. It's like getting a block of concrete and driving a pick hammer through it and shattered it into segments, four main ones: mgtow, MRA, PUA and white knights. Basically, they're your four segments, and they're different segments, completely different. They're the people in the PUA segment are all laugh around, joke around. The guy, yeah, everything's a joke, everything's fun, everything's pick up a woman, that sort of thing. I don't know many MRA, but I imagine they're very serious people, very serious men who, are mindful. They want change. They want government to change and social society to change, and be fair to men and what have you. mgtow basically are just going their own way. They've got their own set of guidelines, so that's that sort of thing. The white knights, well, they're white knights, but the whole thing has it's split men up, but it's not only that. It's not only putting them into homogenous groups. It's putting us in together, so we're rubbing shoulders, not with women and with disparate groups of maybe I'm sitting down in a group, I've got a white knight over there, I've got a PUA here, and I've got a mgtow there, and we're all sort of plus a few women, and so you end up a sort of how can I put this? A little bit of everybody rubs off on one another, so you become a rounded person. I wouldn't say well-rounded, but at times you like a joke, at other times you're serious, at other times you might be a principled person and what have you. So you're a mix of different types of people. But because of what's happened, and because, say, we're all here on a mgtow channel, for example, being together actually reinforces mgtow. We become more and more mgtow. We become more and more one type of person. And the guys that are hanging out in a different circle, with all their white knighting friends, for example, become more white knightish. And this other group becomes more that way. MRA are just, all they think about, talk about is, change. I don't know, I'm not in it. But can you see what I'm driving at? That not only we're shrinking in a sense. Our pool of traits is shrinking. There's just not as much of it, and I think the net effect is women don't like what I could say what we've become, but it's more. I think in our case, with mgtow, it's more what we've reverted to. I'm not saying we've gone backwards, but in a sense, in a way, because we don't have contact with, or we don't form relationships with women anymore, in a sense, we've become a bit like we were in pre-pubescent times. I'm not saying we're immature or anything like that. I'm just saying that because we've reverted to doing what a 12-year-old essentially would do regarding women. I'm not saying we do it with everything, but insofar as when you were 12, you weren't going to have a relationship with women. A lot of us weren't. We weren't sort of there as 10, 11 and 12-year-olds working out, what mortgage we're going to get. That's no. A lot of us were just not getting married ever. And that, in a way, is what mgtow have become to. Not getting married, not interested in women anymore, don't want to know them. So in a way, although, I'm sure we're a little more mature about it than we were at 12, but in a sense, and particularly in the eyes of women, that's how we're coming across. And because we all talk to one another and hang out in a group, we tend to rub off on one another. And something that has become obvious to me, over the past few months. When I chat in a chat room, it's sort of largely a PUA white knight type environment, okay? So there's lots of joking around, there's lots of, making, having fun and trying to impress the women, trying to charm them, make them laugh, bring a smile on their face, all that sort of thing. I mean, the old thing. mgtow aren't interested. mgtow don't give a stuff about that. But then a 12-year-old boy doesn't either. Well, I can't really say I remember clearly what I was like at 12, but I'd say I didn't have a well-established wit. I was 12, 11 or 12 or something like that. Yeah, I'd find slapstick funny, and I'd find things funny. I'd laugh and what have you, but no, I didn't have I hadn't developed a wit. Now that comes later, and is part of the mating process. Where you use your wit and your charm and everything else to get the girls to smile and think they just do it for whatever reason. Whether it's for charm, I've got no idea. But that, as I said, happens later. But when I've noticed with mgtow that there's very little of that, if any at all. And I mean, we've seen it with with filthy dumpster whore and all her carry on, on the channel. You guys aren't laughing and joking with it. I do a bit. I try to, but I've noticed nobody else talks to her. Or Anchor Baby of late. It's just it's just me. You guys just aren't interested at all, which is sort of like a kid in a way would treat a woman. It's just not interested in girls. Now I'm not saying you're immature or anything else like that. I'm just saying if that's the way you behave, and that's sort of what's getting into you, well then that's what you've reverted to, and I have to a large extent. I don't know why we do. We've removed ourselves. So I suppose the act of doing that, you've got no else. I mean, how else? Particularly with women, I don't think anybody's particularly rude. I just get the feeling that mgtow just aren't interested at all. And it's probably, I'll talk more about this tomorrow because I think this is I think this is sort of a crux of the problem that we've got to face. That we're probably in a sense we're laying bare the problems. We're sort of reverting back to saying, right, here we are. Now, what do we do? Or this is what it is. I don't. It's sort of like take off everything else. We went in our lives, we went from this stage to that stage to this stage to that stage, and it just became progressively worse. And so I wonder, I'm not sure, I don't know, but I do wonder whether we've, in a sense, almost done this on purpose and just said, well, stuff you then. Okay, so here we are back at 12, age 12. We're not 12, clearly. We're capable adults and everything, not that the advertisers would have you believe that. But, we're quite capable of doing what we do. But the whole thing is, it's sort of like, okay, so let's talk about it. Let's look at it. It's just, and in a sense, it's sort of like we're on strike. I don't think people have even said that. Yeah, well, if you're going to be like that, forget it, we're on strike. I'd say that it's a fair way to actually to put it with mgtow. We don't hate women or anything else like that, but you just carry on. We've watched MRA try to change things and march and that sort of thing. We saw what happened to them. They got nowhere. We know what happens to the white knights. They don't care. They can get, anything can happen. No, we'll stick by our women. And mgtow say, no, bugger you. No, we want a new deal. Or we want something. Or forget it, we're not going to play at all, we don't care. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the feeling I get. It's like, we try to take things seriously, do this and do that. So it was sort of like, a joke. It was treated, everything was treated like a joke. And so we just said, well, we just don't want that. Sorry. So, but the whole point is, that women are now looking at us. Like, this is the feeling I get. I could be wrong, but the feeling I get is, well, we don't like this. You can't get going like this. And we're basically sitting here thinking, well, no, yeah, we can, because we're not going to go back and do that. I don't see anything wrong with it. But Emily started talking a little bit lately, which is good. And I think it's good. And she actually admitted, she just said, well, no, women, modern day women tend to be after a man's money. That's what she said on the channel. You can find it. She just said, no, that's what they want, money, and they'll fight one another to get what they want. And she said the thing that she hates is gossiping women. Which, I don't know, I'll have to give it some thought. Why would she hate it? Hopefully, Emily, if you can, just expand on it a little bit. But I'd like to find out, why it is that you. I made the comment when she mentioned it to me. I said, the Filipinos are the same way. They don't like gossip at all. I think I've got an idea of it, and I'll discuss it in tomorrow's video. And it's interesting because it's sort of, we're now at the point, as I said, this is before relationships. We're at that stage because we're out of relationships, because we're not available, if you like, for a relationship. It's just like a young boy. Young boys aren't available. They're just not available. That's it. So in a sense, we're like that, and so we've got this. We're standing there in front of this. It's almost like going back in a time machine. So we can have it over again if we want to. And I think that's probably, as I look at it that way. I'm not after a relationship, but I want a relationship. But I can see, as time goes on, and particularly as I'm sort of leading this dual life. I suppose we all do. You're on a mgtow channel and you have to go to work or something like that. You're seeing two worlds, the comparison between two worlds. And it'd be interesting if in comments you talk about that comparison between the two worlds. It'd be just, this versus that. I know how, as I field all the comments here from all mgtow. I find it very serious, very sombre, very intelligent, very thoughtful. Whereas pal talk, for example, is just nonsense. Stupidity the whole time. That's just the nature of it. And I'd say pal talk's more a reflection of real life. It's just funny, stupid. You don't take it seriously. As somebody was saying on the channel today, I just don't take women seriously anymore. Which I think it's a fair comment. I don't. Which I don't think is right. I don't really think it's right that any of it's right what's happening. But I think mgtow have definitely. I don't think it's right not having a relationship with women. I can't see anything else. I mean, as time goes on, it just becomes scarier and scarier. But that's how I see it, and I think, and I'll discuss this more tomorrow, because as the situation evolves and develops. I mean, it's not just us personally, or all women personally. It's the whole situation. What's going to happen? I mean, something's got to happen. So what I think I might talk about tomorrow is, where do we go from here? What is likely to happen? And perhaps the idea is to go back and see what may have been an underlying problem at the very beginning. Because it is an area and it's the area of monogamy versus polygamy. And I say polygamy, I mean, not necessarily marrying multiple partners, but polygamy, one person versus many. I think there's something to be discussed there. I'm not sure what it is, but I'll talk about and bring it up and just touch on it anyway in tomorrow's video. Okay, it's been good talking to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.